Here we go. 2020 church vlog. It's been a whole year since we've put out one of these church vlogs, and the ones we did in the past were really more of a retrospective summary. The ones we're going to do in the future are going to be behind the scenes, vlogging real life. But in order to bridge that gap, I gotta share about 2020, how we, as a new church planting and mission team, went through quarantine, went through COVID-19, the highs and the lows. Stick around to see how God brought us through it. He did some amazing things here in Bend, Oregon. Start of 2020 was actually pretty great. We were sharing our faith on campus every single day. We were having tons of people over, having Chinese New Year and hot pot night. Just people hanging out all the time, watching wrestling. From the start, God was working. We got too big for the living room and we started renting this room over at the library. We started to fill it up, started to feel like church, bringing out guests, sharing our faith on campus. Out here at Drake Park again with Amanda from Georgia on the Bend mission team, and we're going to share our faith and try to meet some people. Drake Park, right next to the river, but I'm sharing my faith. Just shared my faith with 4 people on campus, and now I'm trying to hit a few more in the park. Just got back home, got to share with another 4 guys in Drake Park and get a selfie with them and really engage with them, hear their story and share mine. It was great. A lot of the people who came on our mission team, amazing things, they started dating. A couple of them got engaged. I think all in all there were 5 of them started dating. One of them got married, one of them is about to get married. That's amazing, life-changing stuff that God was doing, bringing people together on our mission team. And that's so awesome when people come on a mission team. A lot of times they fall in love because they're about the same purpose, living it for God. So 5 of our singles started dating and 2 of them got engaged. We went into 2020 bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We were having large Bible discussions. Everything was awesome, and then COVID hit. Most of our mission team ended up losing their jobs, being displaced, having to change housing. Some of them had to move, but still, God was faithful, and I'm really proud of our mission team. While we quarantined, a lot of them encouraged one another virtually.
And that's what I want to share with people, is that love and kindness and appreciation that comes out as an overflow of my heart. Set the tone with kindness in anybody you have an interaction with. It'll go a long ways.
To me, this just reminds me that Jesus understands the grief that many of us have been feeling right now. And it just reminds me that Jesus was human and that Jesus is God in human form, and that he understands the grief that we have been feeling, whether it's the loss of plans or the loss of school or the loss of celebrations and weddings, or even like some of us have lost loved ones through this. And it just reminds me that we can turn to God and that he understands us.
Even if all others forsake us, even if we have no other friends throughout this time of quarantine, that we have hope that we can just go off of God and his power and his strength versus our own.
When hard times come, they're from God. When great times come, they're from God. God is in the midst of it all.
I remember that spring, it was one of our first virtual services. Madison and I were actually in the hospital. We were giving birth to our first daughter, Saoirse. My wife did an amazing job. It was pretty scary because we couldn't have any visitors, of course. This was during quarantine. And man, we started having virtual services, but right when everything was getting so scary in 2020, we started, lining up and buying toilet paper and not hoarding or anything, but God gave us this amazing blessing and changed me forever in becoming a father. So this is our cart full of stuff for the baby. Have to take it all in on one load. They'll allow me one trip to the car because of COVID-19. Not to be a father.
Well, they're currently saying it's a moderate risk delivery, so they're going to have a NICU team in here. So just stay as content as you've been for the last 3 days and just come healthy and happy, and we can't wait to meet you.
See, Saoirse is only about 20 hours old. Not even a day old.
It's her first birthday, technically.
Oh, guess who Jane?
First bath.
Here's Saoirse on her first little walk.
That was by far the greatest blessing of 2020 for us. It was the craziest time. We had this newborn. My wife would be up with her until early in the morning, and I'd be up early in the morning trying to finish up a virtual service production. We got no sleep for like 2 months.
Guys getting ready for online church?
Yeah. She's set to go. She already knows everything though.
She's in her PJs.
Can't teach her. Well,
She's going to church in her PJs.
looks good to me.
So it's Papa. He's in sweatpants.
And then the summer came, and a little bit of relief started happening. We could take our baby outside. We had some very mature, very encouraging married couples move into the church. We were still able to get out there, engage with the community, volunteer with the forest service. We got out on hikes, prayer walks, encouraged one another with people in Bend and with other house churches and churches around Oregon. One of the great things about Bend is that we could be outside in an incredible wilderness, and a lot of the things that were affecting the other big cities just weren't really happening with us because we were too small.
Good morning. Rest of the campers are down below. Wanted to stay back before the final climb up the scree. Which is what I'm doing right now. After an overnight at Wasco Lake, now climbing up to Three Finger Jack. Boy, it's beautiful. Take a look here. Got the lake down below. Three Finger Jack there. And I am on. Look at how narrow this path is. I'm near death. I am on this peak of scree of gravel. There's the alpine lake below me, and of course the glacier has made all of this scree area. And above me, that's Three Finger Jack, the mountain right there. I did an overnight at the lake below and 24-mile loop to get around Three Finger Jack. It was great. Yesterday we got to see some mountain goats climbing up it, and it's just super beautiful.
Where are we? Are we at Green Lakes?
Green Lakes.
Pretty beautiful. Is that Broken Top?
Yep.
That's Broken Top. We hiked that with you last summer when you were in Mama's belly. That's before we knew about you. What a princess.
Saoirse just did her first hike up to Green Lakes. We even put her little booties on her, but Dexter's booties, they don't have any dirt on them. She's being carried.
She never set foot on the ground.
So strengthened by some of those married couples who moved in, we started getting a little more brave.
Good morning. I'm out here with Saoirse. She just shared her faith with 6 people in the park in a little less than 40 minutes. And, you know, it's not impossible during this time of pandemic and quarantine. You can still share your faith with somebody, even if you're wearing a mask, even if you're 6 feet apart. And that's what we're trying to do as a church. We're trying to open back up, meet safely with people, and just get in the Word with them in the park.
We started having park services, and we socially distanced, and it was awkward at times. Sometimes people would come up and interrupt us, and there would be loud things happening in the park, but we could stand there, we could worship, we could be loud and proud for following Jesus, middle of the park, full of people, socially distancing everywhere. There's this little creek running through the park next to where we were having these worship services, and we got to baptize one of our teens there, Finley. And that was so amazing. If nothing else happened during 2020, throughout all of the COVID, just seeing Finley get baptized was so amazing. A couple of months after we innovated and started having park services, one of the worst firestorms in the history of the nation and the history of Oregon certainly hit us. Huge fires, hundreds of acres, tens of thousands of people displaced across Oregon. Many in my own family were affected. We did what we could to volunteer. Churches around Oregon were volunteering to help give people some relief during this time. And we were smoked out. The air quality was unhealthy, hazardous. You couldn't even see across the street. My wife and I, we got saround wrap and duct tape, and we sealed off every crack. We got the fans out, and we're trying to keep our newborn, give her some fresh air. But you couldn't even see outside. It was so bad. With the smoke, then with winter coming on, we had to look for a place. We started renting a local lodge in Bend with a room that was big enough for now our smaller group to meet in and properly socially distance. And that was a blessing. Our first paid rented venue in Bend is a step up for us from going from house church in the living room to a free venue on Sundays to park service to a rented indoor venue. And like I said, we were smaller. It was around that time that we started feeling the toll of 2020, feeling the unmet expectations of everyone coming here on the team with those high hopes, and many losing jobs, losing friends, losing loved ones. There was some incredibly painful things going on. I took a lot of the blame for a lack of growth in the church on myself rather than putting it on COVID. I struggled with the circumstances outweighing my values, my conviction to go and make disciples. It was a toll on me, and it was tough to see what God was really doing. But Madison and I, we resolved we'd be in it for the long haul. God did bless us. We're able to buy a home here in Central Oregon. We love it here. We know that this is where God called us. Even though we lost about half of our church membership in 2020. Mission team members had to move on to better and great things. Some of them sincerely wanted to stay wholeheartedly, but couldn't because of the circumstances. It was painful. It was a tearing away. I lost some very close friends, and I really became lonelier than ever as a minister, as a man, just lacking relationships that I really needed. There were 3 things that really helped me personally in that time. There was my family, my wife, my daughter encouraging me, bringing me joy each and every day. There's my church family sticking through it all, remaining committed. And then there was our partnering churches, my friends in the ministry, fellow ministers, our Northwest family of churches. We're able to encourage each other and stay unified during that time. I actually got out to Missoula, Montana on a minister's retreat with brothers from Eugene and Boise and all over. And we just had to relate to one another. We had to be open about our struggles. It can be so lonely being a minister at times. I don't know how I could do it without those brothers in my life. I don't think 2020 is something I could have gotten through if it wasn't for other brothers in the faith helping me. It was with those brothers' help, pointing us back to God, we focused on prayer and fasting, ending out 2020, going through Christmas as a family. We just wanted to go into 2021 humbling ourselves and depending more on God. If there's one thing He taught us through 2020, it's that we cannot go off of our own strength. It's not because we're so great that we persevered through 2020. It's only by God's mercy, and we need so desperately to depend on Him more. Yeah, 2020 was one of the most painful years of my life, losing friends, but it was also one of the best years of my life. It was a time to draw close with family, my wife and my daughter. It was a time to be unified with brothers in other churches. It was a time to be unified with God, to be discipled by God through 2020, to help me to grow more dependent on Him in prayer and fasting. And that's how I want to go through 2021. That's the discipleship that I want you to see on these vlogs. Not just a highlight reel or a retrospective, but week by week, how we're living our vision here in Bend, Oregon.
Going forward, you're going to see our real life discipleship. You're going to see the behind the scenes. You're going to see our story in the struggle, not just the highlights after the fact. So I hope you come along for an honest look at what it looks like to be with Jesus, become like Jesus, and do what Jesus did.
If you'd like to come along for that behind the scenes journey of being on a church planting, of making disciples for Jesus, seeing the highs and the lows, then subscribe to our channel. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see in that story. Thank you for joining our journey, and tune in next Friday for our weekly vlogs going forward.